Okay, this next slide shows what their thoughts are. Thoughts are on the evolutionary sequence here. So what we've got is a prokaryote cell here, and we have most modern day eukaryotes here. I just have common eukaryote. So this is mitosis happening down here, and this is our binary fission. Okay, all of the mechanisms down here with the eukaryotes, with mitosis, none of those mechanisms exist back here at the prokaryote. Okay, so what they found is this is the common eukaryote, but there are some eukaryotes that exist, protists actually, that do things a little bit differently than the mitosis. And so we're going to look at two of them. We're going to look at a dinoflagellate right here, and a diatom. And we're going to kind of do an evolutionary pathway here. But what they find with the dinoflagellates, actually let me make a little note here. Both of these are types of protists. Okay, protists, when they, that's how you spell protists. Anyway, when they look at evolutionary time frames, protists are pretty simple organisms, and protists probably developed before some more complex eukaryotes. So for instance, algae are a protist, and they think algae showed up before other plants did, because the algae are simpler. Okay, there's animal-like protists that have the ability to move. They would say those were some of the first cells to be able to move, those eukaryotic cells. So anyway, so these are protists. What they would say evolutionarily are older than, say, our cells. Okay, well, if we look at the dinoflagellate, okay, something we find that's interesting here is in a dinoflagellate, when it goes through its cell division, the nucleus never disappears. Okay, down in mitosis, our nucleus disappears. Okay, well, if the nucleus has not disappeared, then there's no way for like centrosomes to work, or spindle fibers or anything like that. Well, when they look at dinoflagellates, they notice that they do something very similar to the protists. If you remember the protists with binary fission, they attach part of their DNA to the, or this is how they believe it works, they attach their DNA to the cell membrane or the plasma membrane on both sides, and then that's what separates them. Well, they see this in this dinoflagellate, that the DNA, the sister chromatids on their chromosomes, that they attach to the nuclear membrane that stays intact. They attach to that nuclear membrane, and then as the cell divides, they get drawn to opposite sides of the cell on the nuclear membrane. So we see a similarity here, just that idea that the DNA would attach to a membrane in order to be separated. That is a similar idea. Okay, in the theory of evolution, when we're seeing things that we can't really experiment on, we can't see the evolution of prokaryotes to dinoflagellate, but one assumption that is made is that if things have similarities, then those similarities were probably caused by common ancestors. Okay, so we have prokaryotes here, and there's a similarity. Okay, this mechanism of attaching to a membrane. So we'd say, you know what, these may have had or probably had similar ancestors. Okay, now if we check the diatoms, okay, diatoms, these are golden algae diatoms. You can find them in your toothpaste. They're the gritty stuff in toothpaste, or if you have a face wash, ladies, that is an exfoliator and it's got little grit in it, it's probably these diatoms. They have a shell around them, but just thought you'd like to know that. Anyway, the diatoms, they do things a little bit differently, but they also keep their nucleus here while they're doing their cell division, keep their nucleus. But instead of attaching, I'm going to get back to the pointer here, instead of attaching their centromere, the chromosomes, instead of attaching them directly to the cell or the nuclear membrane, they actually have microtubules that connect the centromere, the kinetochore, to the nuclear membrane. So here we have something that is simple. It does not lose its nucleus. The nucleus doesn't fall apart, which is similar to the dinoflagellate, but it makes microtubules, which seems like it's a step closer to being a eukaryote. So if we look at this evolutionary, like on an evolutionary standpoint or time frame, it would seem like diatoms are similar to dinoflagellates, and so there'd be an evolutionary connection there. But then if we look at the common eukaryote, we have microtubules that connect from kinetochores to, in our case, it's a centrosome. But that is similar to this one, where there's microtubules that connect to a kinetochore. And so anyway, you can see the similarities here. So if I look at all of these similarities, again, similarity would indicate an evolutionary relationship. Then you would say that there could be a clear path from prokaryotes to dinoflagellates, looking at their cell division. Then there could be a clear path from dinoflagellates to diatoms, and there's definitely a clear relationship between diatoms and eukaryotes. So if you pull all of that together, then A is close to B, B is close to C, and C is close to D. That means D is similar to A. Okay, that's kind of the logic there. If we were going to draw out to this whole evolutionary thing, they would not be drawing evolution. We just haven't talked about this a whole lot. It would not say that prokaryotes evolved into dinoflagellates, which evolved into diatoms, which developed into eukaryotes. Okay, what they would say, they do the common ancestry idea, and let me see if I can delete a lot of this stuff so that I can draw this out. The common ancestry idea. My short video is becoming long here. Delete, delete, delete. Delete. If we look at the evolutionary thing, what they would say is there was a common ancestor, a long time ago. Common ancestor, there he is. Okay, a cell. Okay, that from that original cell, there would have been a lineage that developed into modern day prokaryotes. Okay. Well, along the line here, now this line represents generation upon generation upon generation of prokaryotes. Don't you love my penmanship here? Anyway, somewhere along this generation upon generation of prokaryotes, there may have been a lineage that kind of broke away from what was seen here, and that lineage that broke away may have led to the dinoflagellates. I'm just going to write dino or dino, if you will. You're into the Flintstones. Dinoflagellates, well, somewhere along this, again, this would have been generation after generation after generation, somewhere on this, there may have been another lineage that broke off, okay, making the diatoms. I don't know why I made a circle there. Let's put a D in front of it. Diatoms. And then somewhere from this lineage, this did not draw out the way I wanted to, I'm kind of doing it on the fly, along the way, there would have been a break-off that would have gone to maybe yeast or some other things, but modern eukaryotes, EU for eukaryotes. Okay, so there's this common ancestor idea. So it's not like the prokaryotes were turning directly into dinoflagellates. That was not happening. What we were seeing is whatever it was that led to the prokaryotes, somewhere along the line there was a break and things evolved down a different pathway to get to the dinoflagellates. Okay, in this different pathway, one thing that would have been common between in this common ancestor was the idea of genetic material attaching to a nuclear wall. Okay, something that would have been common here, something that would have been common here would have been the idea of genetic material staying inside of a nucleus during division. And something that was common between these is the idea of using microtubules to direct where the chromosomes go. So anyway, crash course for you there on evolution. It's a bonus for you. Hope you appreciate it. Hey, another bonus, somebody asked me to do something silly on a video. Not silly, but something entertaining. So I'm going to show you my special eye talent here. Get up close, look at my eyes. This is my kids love this, my special eye talent. I can do this. And I can even kind of go in circles, but it's not as good as this. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good night. See you in class.